All right. Hello, everybody. This is Dan Jaskot with Empower Leadership. This is not a podcast. This is not a blog, but I guess it's a thing called a vlog, a video blog. And I am joined today by two wonderful young people, up and comers, people I would consider, great leaders in their right now, and only greater things coming ahead in their future right here. Two current Springfield College students. One from Connecticut, one from Massachusetts. They're both representing their SC gear, looking sharp. But we have a Lead with Empower vlog, our first ever, and I couldn't ask for two better people to jump on this vlog with me than Hayden France and Mady Hayden France and Mady Vianney from Springfield College, and they're going to talk a little bit about their experiences up at Springfield, the challenges they faced last summer with like off-season workouts and the pandemic and that whole situation. And then they're going to give us a little update on how things are going this summer, really all with the spin of like, hey, there's challenges. How do you lead yourself through the challenges? You're going to hear from some great college athletes, great kids doing things the right way. So very excited to have you both on. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. Mady, we're going to start with you. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're doing up there? Give everybody the quick 30-second introduction there.
All right. So my name is Mady. I'm from Middletown, Connecticut. I go to Springfield College, and I'm currently a sports bio major, pre-PA track, and I'm on the track team. I run indoor and outdoor.
Nice. And what events there in the indoor and outdoor track and field realm?
So I'm a jumper, specifically long and triple, and then I also run the 100 when I'm forced to do it.
So not your favorite. You're more
Not
like
at
the
all.
jumping more than the running.
Yeah, for sure.
How, and we'll come back to the question, but it's something to think about. And Hayden, you'll get the same question, is like how you got involved in track and field, right? Because it's not one of those things as a kid, you're not given a javelin to, when you're
Yeah,
young,
no.
it's not one of the early sports that you learn. But what got you involved in track and field, and how'd you settle on those events? Was it based on kind of what you thought you were good at, or what other people thought you were good at? Give us a little of that backstory, Mady.
Yeah, so I initially joined track and field in high school my freshman year just to train for soccer when I was off season. And my coach would always be like, "You have long legs, like you should be a jumper." And so I tried it and I ended up being pretty good at it. Like I made states freshman year and then just kind of stuck with it through college.
Nice. Awesome. And then our next guest is Hayden France. Those of you might recognize the last name. His old man was on the Lead with Empower podcast, and he's getting older every day, Hayden.
Yes, he is. And bigger.
That's right. And no, Teddy, I'm not deleting that out of the vlog here. Hayden, give everybody a little background into who you are, where you're from, what you're doing up there at Springfield College.
All right, my name's Hayden France. I'm majoring in criminal justice. I'm going into my junior year at school, and I'm on the football team. More specifically, I'm part of the offensive line at school. We call it the Roach. And so I'm going into my junior year. Ended up at Springfield College just from, family connections, introduced me to the school. Just been around the campus and the school my whole life. I started playing football actually a little bit later than a lot of kids. My freshman year of high school, I started playing football. Up until that point, I had actually played competitive premier soccer my whole life. And I loved soccer. It taught me a lot, but something about football and the game just, the contact, obviously, a lot of guys crave that type of interaction and team atmosphere. So that's what kind of drew me to the sport in the first place. And then I really loved it. I played defensive, offensive line in high school, but in college I only played offensive line. But yeah, I was hooked as soon as I started playing.
So for people that aren't familiar with the Springfield College setting and the in particular the football program and the Roach Patrol, tell everybody a little bit about, and without divulging any secrets here, right? Because I know it's a very secret society. but tell everybody a little bit about what it means to be part of that crew, the Roach crew on the Springfield College football program.
So to be part of the Roach, you have to be admitted in by, I'm honestly technically not considered a Roach yet. I'm still what we refer to as larva. So in order to be considered a Roach, you have to be approved by every member of the Roach Patrol and let in. And it's an extreme honor, and it is by no means an easy task to be able to call yourself a Roach. We consider ourselves the leaders on the team, both physically and off the field. I think this year we have the second highest cumulative GPA on the team, which we always pride ourselves on being the brains of the operation. But we're a very close, tight-knit group. You know, on the offensive line, you don't get a lot of glory. You're not catching balls. You're not running the 60-yard runs. You're not throwing passes. You're in the trenches every single play, grinding it out for the whole entire game. So that takes a toll on you mentally. So the group of the Roach is always able to hold each other to the highest standard and pick each other up when people are down. It's a very special group of men.
Love it. And for those of you listening, the Roach comes from the Roach block, which is kind of like a pancake block, right? When you're on top of somebody and their hands and legs, their arms and legs are flailing about because they just got dominated by somebody on the front line of the Springfield College football program. Hey, so we're going to get into it here. Obviously, we're over a year removed from last summer when college students got out of class and what in normal years would have been just dive into your traditional summer workout routine that the college provides you and bust your butt and getting ready to get back up there on campus in the fall for the start of the semester and start of the football season in the fall. Then Mady, obviously the winter season indoor track. Last year was a little bit different, right? And they're not only the challenges that any normal college kid would face in any year, but then there's this pandemic with gyms being closed and travel restrictions and all that type of stuff. So one of the first things I'd love for you both to talk about is, because you're in that environment, talk a little bit about, and you both had slightly different challenges and whether it be injury related or otherwise, which we'll get into, but just give everybody a snapshot into what the summer was like last year with regards to workouts and, maybe some of the leadership challenges you face, because really you're on your own, right? With those summer workouts, it's not a strength and conditioning coach there to hold you accountable. It's really about that self-accountability. Talk a little bit about some of the challenges you faced with regards to the pandemic and some of the tactics you tried to implement to make it a productive summer, even though there are a lot of roadblocks in the way. And Hayden, we'll start with you, and then Mady, we'll finish up that question with you after Hayden.
Alrighty. So last summer was it was a difficult summer for everyone, I think. We in the football program, we obviously have a large group chat, and then we have specific group chats based off positional groups. So you're able to kind of, in a way, keep as much connection as you can via electronics, which helps you out in a way, to maybe wake up to that text in the morning that, all right, this is what I was doing. And you see all your buddies and all your teammates working out to get better. And then it kind of, in a way, puts some responsibility on you as a player to then, okay, this is what my friends are doing. This is what my guys on my team are doing to make the program better. Am I just going to sit around and do nothing, or am I going to go and make good on my engagements to go and get better and make the team better? So in that way, it's not the same as being in a weight room, being with your friends, putting up weights, but it's a small amount of accountability. And you still have to take that first step to, all right, I am going to go to the gym, or I am going to get a run in today. So that kind of helps a little bit. It's very different than being on campus, that's for sure. And then the aspect of, okay, my gym's closed. What am I going to do to try to overcome that? So you gotta, I know some guys have home gyms and some people have weights in their houses, because one of their parents might be into fitness. But personally, I didn't have that. I didn't have weights at the house. I didn't have anything. I spent a little bit of money on Craigslist. I bought some cheap weights just to try to be able to get some movements in, some small lifts, nothing crazy heavy. So I did that. I ran when I could. You can always run. You can always get field work in, which was a plus of last summer. You can always get field work in. So it was kind of a day by day thing. And then when we got back to school, it wasn't, okay, we can all be in the weight room together. It wasn't my buddy can be there spotting me. It was, we're all in our little box. We have our weights that we can touch before they have to get sanitized again, before the next person can come in. So it was a really different team dynamic in the weight room. It wasn't as hype as some people would say as my freshman year. So it was a little different in that aspect, but, and you got to realize that the virus is going to be done soon, and eventually we're going to be back to full tilt, full go, and hopefully that's going to be 2021. So, I mean, that's what we've been preparing for. That's what we've been waiting for, and that's what we're working for.
Awesome. And hey, looking back on it, because it's been, a year, right, since the start of last summer, a little over a year since the start of last summer. Like you mentioned the word, like those, how the group chat was a way to kind of give you that kick in the butt when you needed it. Looking back, how would you say you did for holding yourself accountable? And were there moments when you felt like, oh man, I missed the day? Like overall, how would you kind of rate your ability to stay on course and make something out of a nothing situation, essentially?
I think that every athlete has those days where they're like, I don't care how good you are, you might miss a day. I mean, maybe not Tom Brady, but I'm sure there's some guys out there that might miss a workout. And it's okay to miss a workout one day or maybe 2 days if you're going for a family weekend or something. I get that. That's just life. We're not professional athletes, but you do have to get back on the horse and get back into it, or you're going to lose those steps behind everyone. And you're not hurting yourself, you're hurting the team at that point.
Yeah.
So, I won't say it's easy to go and lift by yourself and go run by yourself, because it's not easy. It's not for everyone. So it's self-determination and self-reliance in a way. Yeah. But at the same point, you can also reach out to people. Like if you take it upon yourself to reach out to those teammates that are going to help you out, they will help you out, because there are those guys in the team. They will help you out. They want you to be better. They want you to be the best version of yourself. So you have to rely on those leaders, and also be a leader for other people that might need help. You have to not just wait for someone to reach out to you, but at the same time, check in with other people, ask them how their summer's going, ask them how their workout's going, and then start a conversation off of that.
Yep. Love it. And Hayden, we're going to transition over to Mady, but one of the things that I love that you said was, you brought up the idea of self-accountability and being able to hold yourself to that standard. But every time you followed that up with, hey, I'm not hurting just myself, I'm hurting a group of guys that I care about. And I think that's a great leadership quality, is recognizing that, hey, our actions don't just impact us in an isolated bubble. Our actions are going to impact, in a football team's case, 60, 70 other guys, and could mess up, what successes the team could have on the field if one or two guys aren't pulling their weight. So it's great that you're thinking about that type of stuff, and it's not just in this isolated me scenario, right? It's bigger than that. And it sounds like you're really grasping it, and you're doing everything you can to make sure you're living up to that. Awesome work. And Mady, same type of question to you. And the situation was a little different. You were coming off a pretty tough injury situation. So not only not being able to work out in the normal setting, but then having, not being able to function, a little bit as you normally would. Talk a little bit about last summer and the challenges that you faced, and kind of how you worked through those, to, again, maintain a level of productivity when there's those roadblocks in the way.
Yeah, so I'll rewind a little bit. So right before summer, it was towards the end of our indoor season, like right before COVID got all crazy. And I was at practice jumping, and I felt something go in my knee, and turned out my patella was dislocated. So I needed surgery to fix that. And for a while, it got pushed off, because that's when COVID just started hitting, and they weren't doing like any elective surgeries. So I had to wait until August. So all summer I was basically just out. And like Hayden was saying, like you can always do like your field work. You could always, like, for me, go to the track. Like if the gyms are closed, that's something I could do. But in this case, I couldn't. So that's where I really struggled, was just not being able to really do anything and just kind of feeling stuck physically and mentally. Um, but the biggest thing that helped me was just giving myself a routine, like saying, okay, you're going to wake up at this time, you're going to eat at this time, like just giving myself a strict routine so I don't fall out of that and just lose kind of my responsibilities. And I just really decided if I couldn't focus on myself and get physically fit and be the best I could be physically, I would do that mentally and also be that for my teammates. So I would check in with my teammates a lot. I know our coaches would do the same for us. They would do weekly check-ins. So we would have a one-on-one Zoom with our coaches, which really helped a lot because they would just check on us like overall as a person. And I would do that with a lot of the underclassmen
Yep.
because I really felt for the freshmen. Like when I came in as a freshman, like we knew everyone on the team. Like they made the effort to meet us, and that's where I just felt for them. Like my heart really went out for them. So I reached out to the freshmen over the summer just to make sure they had someone coming into the fall to look up to. And just to be that person, like be there for them, lead them. Because when we did get to school, our coaches split us up into pods. So they're basically, they started as groups of 5 and then we got up to groups of 10. But our team was just so divided and like it was just really weird because we didn't feel like a team.
Yeah.
And that's where things were odd because there were people on our team I didn't even know. And I can only imagine for the freshmen, like they really did not know anyone. That was really, really weird. And that was just the entire spring season.
And fingers crossed by indoor season 21-22, right? Because it's kind of in that middle one. You're back to being that team and knowing people on the team and having each other's back and it feeling like that family. I know really all the coaches at Springfield College promote, regardless of the sport, is that sense of family on the team. You brought up, Mady, like that. Obviously, you're not being able to work out and dealing with the injury and having to wait for surgery. It was less of the physical challenge and more of the mental challenge. Like, what did you learn about like yourself from with regards to like self-coaching and self-leadership? Because really, a lot of the times it's our mind that holds us back from doing stuff. It's not our physical ability. So, I'd imagine that surviving that tough situation and dealing with the injury is probably going to make you a stronger athlete. What'd you learn about yourself from a kind of a individual leadership standpoint during that challenge?
Yeah, so I guess I just learned that I had more of a purpose than just track. Oftentimes, I know we've spoken about this before, your sport can become your identity. And this is when I didn't have the sport, wasn't in season, I couldn't do any sort of working out. And so I really had to find like that outer identity, not just as like that track athlete. And I just got into like other hobbies like painting, playing the guitar, like things that I didn't really invest my time into that much before. So that was nice.
Awesome. What would you say, looking back on it now, what would you say is a silver lining? Like something that you experienced back last summer that you feel like is going to stick with you forever as like a, hey, I got through this, I can get through anything. What was that like silver lining moment for you?
Um, I guess for me that silver lining moment was just so after waiting all that time to finally get my surgery and then getting it done and then some of the complications I faced after that, probably the scariest thing I've ever dealt with was having that blood clot after surgery. Just really mentally overcoming that, I realized I can overcome any obstacle.
Love it. Love it. That's the right attitude to have to make sure a crummy situation isn't as crummy as it could be, right? Trying to find something
Yeah.
positive out of it. Love it, Mady. Well said. Well said. So obviously we're not out of the woods completely yet with the whole pandemic situation, But the good news is it's starting to feel a little bit more normal this summer, much more than it did last summer. I guess it's a two-parter. Number one, I know you're working a couple jobs, one with us at Empower, which is exciting. And then with the Connecticut Wedding Group, you're balancing family, you're balancing fun, you're balancing social, you're balancing the work, you're balancing the workouts. Talk a little bit about this summer and just give everybody a snapshot picture as to how things are going for you so far, basically 2 months in, right, for a college student, with regards to that, the workouts, the work life, the social life, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt like I went from 0 to 100 because last summer was just nice break, a little bit of relaxation, and this summer was just like full tilt, like complete workouts, like strength training, sprinting, working, like you said, social life, family, like all of that. So it's definitely been busy. The time definitely passes really fast, but I think this summer I'm just really embracing that we get all those things. They're honestly all opportunities, and I realized that a lot after last summer having none of those things. Um, like even just the gym being open and like
Yep.
being able to go lift and seeing people without masks and like seeing people's facial expressions and smiles. Like it's just those things that we used to take for granted and now we don't as much anymore.
Yep.
And so I've really been able to just keep up with my training, um, all of that.
And obviously it's you're juggling a lot, right? And I know like multitasking is one of those things that it's an acquired skill. It's a skill you can improve upon, and it's something that I don't think you just wake up one day and become an excellent multitasker. What's a strategy that you've implemented for yourself to just make sure you're staying on top of all that stuff? Because I think it's always important to have balance, right? Balance of fun and work, balance of workout and social, balance of work and play. Like, what sort of tactics have you implemented this summer to make sure that you have that level of balance so you're improving as a student athlete, you're working so you get a couple bucks in your pocket, but you're still having a little bit of fun in the break from the grind of the school year and 2 sports seasons?
Yeah. So just like I did last year, the biggest thing was just keeping that routine and the schedule. For me, I'm very visual, so I like to write down all the things that I need to get done, all the events, times. Like I just like things listed out like that, and just finding that time, carving out that time for your responsibilities and for the fun as well, because I think that's also important. You don't want to drive yourself crazy like into the dirt, just working hard. You gotta find time to enjoy yourself too.
Nice. And then what are you looking forward to most about being back up on campus? And, I obviously your season, I'm sure you're going to have plenty of preseason stuff in the fall, but your official season's not going to start until a little bit later into the year. What are you really like? What's that one thing you're most looking forward to about being back up at Alden Street and getting back into the normal swing of things?
I'm just really excited to connect with our entire team
Yeah.
and just the campus population as a whole, because that's something we really didn't get last year. We were told to, stay within our own dorms, stay within our pods at practice. Like, and if you went against that, you'd be breaking regulation. So that
Yeah.
was really just driven into our heads. So really just meeting new people and making those connections that we didn't get last year.
Yeah, and normally Springfield College does a great job of like that community building and getting you connected with all sorts of different people. And so
Yeah.
I could feel your pain. I could imagine being in your spot, having gone through that experience many moons ago. Mady, you did awesome. Thank you so much. And we're gonna spin it back over to Hayden. All right, so Hayden, similar question to what I asked Mady, right? Last summer was last summer. It's in the books. You talked a lot about just trying to find a way to make something out of basically nothing in the situation last year. Give us a little insight and update into how the 2021 summer's going with you. Cause I know, again, you're balancing work. I know you're taking a couple classes, workouts,
Yep.
social life, all that good stuff. Talk a little bit about how things are going, 2 months into the summer so far for you.
All right. It's been a real busy summer. I work like about 35 hours a week ish. And then I'm also taking an EMT course to try to get my EMT certification and get that all done, just to have a resume builder. And then on top of that, I have my friends. I'm trying to see my girlfriend when I can see her. And just everything going on, family time. And then on top of that, trying to balance workouts with, my schoolwork and classes. So it gets tough. So you do have to try to carve that time out in a way. You have to try to carve out an hour and a half each day to get to the gym or get a run in or get some field work in. So it's difficult, but we have this motto on our team where we always try to say, be where your feet are.
Yep.
So when you wake up and your feet hit the floor, make it the best day you can possibly make it. So you have to try to get done what you have to get done. So if you have to go to work, you have to go to work. You have to be there for that time. So then you have to build around that. So like, what are the must do's? What are the you have to get done for football and whatnot? And then what are your wants?
Yeah.
So you have to put those wants on the back door. Like, some days I want to go to the beach with my friends. I want to go to the lake. I want to do all those things, but not always in the cards. That's part of growing up in a way. Not everyone wants to wake up and go to work. So that's not always a ton of fun, but, it has to get done. So you kind of just take it day by day. You have to focus on that rep. You got to just focus on what you're doing, So I try to set a schedule for that week whenever I can. I get my work schedule and then I build around that. So once I get my work schedule, I see what hours I'm working. If I'm working at night, I'll go in the morning and lift in the morning. I'll wake up at 7:30 and go get the run in when I need to go.
Yep.
And if I'm working that morning, I'll go right from work instead of going home, because I know once I go home and I sit down, I'm not getting back up to go and then start working. So it's just good time management is what it comes down to, is managing your time well.
And that's great too. I mean, really, because I asked Mady the question and you kind of answered it before I could ask you, but that's a lot to juggle, right? And you both said the same type of answer about setting that schedule. And Hayden, I want to repeat it for those that are watching and listening. So it was obviously you have your things you have to do, and then the wants, right? And just give us a snapshot of that again one more time for the people that are listening, because I think it's important to realize, like, hey, things you're gonna have to do, whether it's being an athlete, part of a program, or an employee, part of an organization, versus the things that you want. Give that rundown one more time for everybody.
All right. So it was actually Coach Adam Fight was he was the one that I think freshman year we had a little seminar for all the freshmen about time management, because every person knows that the freshmen might not manage their time as well as a lot of the older guys. So It was, you have your wants and then your have to do's. And then it was like, there was one more category, but it kind of falls to the side. It's more wants and need to do. So you need to get schoolwork done. You need to study. And then you need to go to work. I would even consider you need to work out in that category, because at the college level, if you don't work out and you don't run, especially in a sport like football, you're going to get someone hurt.
Yep.
If I miss a block, it's not me just missing a block. It's my quarterback getting lit up right behind me. So if you don't do that, you're going to get someone hurt. So you have your wants and your needs to do. My wants are going to the beach, going to the lake at night, staying up maybe until 12 o'clock and hanging out with friends, but that's not always the best thing to do when you got work and you got workouts the next morning at 6:30, 7 a.m.
Yep.
So
love it. And hey, for everybody listening, you're hearing from a couple 20, 21-year-old college athletes, right? So got their whole life ahead of them, and hear what they're saying. Make your schedule, whether it's a once a week thing around work or just have your routine schedule like Mady touched on. And then I think it's a huge exercise to go through that wants versus have to do, right? The responsibilities versus the personal desires. And again, find some balance, but recognize which one takes priority over the other, and take care of business. Once you take care of business, you're able to move on and do the fun stuff. And you're hearing it from two young puppies, as they say on the campus up there at Springfield College, who are kicking some butt right now. And that applies not only to younger athletes, but to people that might not even be in sport, doing, trying to manage the fun of summer and the work schedules and all that good stuff. Hey, we're close to closing things off. Again, we have Mady Vianney. I nailed it. Look at that confident head nod. And Hayden France. They're both class of 2023 up at Springfield College, both student athletes up there, crushing it right now. What is something, if you had to give a bit of advice or wisdom to a high school athlete who might be watching this, what would it be? And Mady, we'll start with you when you're ready.
Really putting me on the spot.
Yes, indeed. Hey, without a challenge, the exceptional doesn't get accomplished.
Okay, let's see. I would just say really push yourself mentally over anything. I think one thing that I've learned in college from track is that it's all about the mindset. Like if you go in thinking that you're going to have a bad jump, you're going to have a bad jump.
Yeah.
Like at All New England, I was going against like these D1 girls with full ride scholarships, and I was really intimidated. Like it was scary. And at first I was like, I'm not going to do well. These girls are going to beat me. But then you have to have that moment where you switch your mindset and you say, okay, I have competition out here. I'm in a competitive environment. This needs to be a reason for me to push myself, not doubt myself.
Yep.
It's just pushing yourself to the max and believing in yourself.
Love
and
it.
Believing
Love
in
it.
your training.
Push yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Crushed it. Well done, Mady. Hayden, same question to you. A bit of advice for a younger athlete who maybe wants to play ball at the college level.
All right. I would tell you, unless you're Peyton Manning, pick a school based off of what you want to do for the rest of your life. Because in 4 years, football is going to end, or track's going to end, or soccer's going to end. Unless, even the guys at Division I, only 2% of those guys are going pro. They're going to have to work for 30, 40 years after college. So don't just think about the short term. Don't go to a school just based off of, oh, they got a good football program and I could maybe play 3 or 4 more years of football.
Yep.
Go because they have a program that you want to do and something that you are interested in for the rest of your life, something that you could see yourself doing, because eventually no one wants to hear it, but football is going to end. I'm 6'2", 220 pounds. I'm not playing in the NFL. I'm going to have to go to work once school's over.
Yep.
And then football's over, and it's going to be, football will teach you a lot. Sports will teach you a ton. You'll be a better person, a better leader for playing sports. But then you have to go apply that to the real world. You have to go apply it to being a dad or being a mom or being a coach, being a leader. You have to take that and put it into real life. And sports will teach you to do that, but you can't live off that,
Yep. Love it. Love it. And being a good teammate, right? And both of you touched on that. Like, hey, there's things I can do to be a great teammate, whether it's checking in on the younger ones or holding myself accountable to whatever the summer workout plan is. It's going to impact me positively, but more importantly, it's going to impact the program positively. Hayden, final question for you. And this is a sign of, this will be a sign of how hard you're really working out during the summer. If there's a wrestling match between the house champion Thaddeus versus Hayden, who's winning the match right now? Who's doing it?
I don't know. You got to look at the medical report. He's got a total hip replacement.
Attack the hip, baby.
I'm kicking that thing right out. I think that I got this one down, baby.
I got my money on you. I got my money on you for sure.
It's a question of what's going to break first, his spirit or body.
Yes. That is, ladies and gentlemen, the drop of the mic moment right there. Hayden and Mady, thank you so much. I think it's tremendous insight again from, these aren't two people who have 30 years of like CEO level experience who have been leading, these big companies. These are young student athletes who are doing it every day. They're out there in the trenches trying to push themselves through challenge, push their teammates through challenge. And, that's who you want to hear from. The people that are getting their hands dirty doing it. And I really appreciate you sharing your advice, sharing your wisdom, sharing your story with our listeners, with our audience. and can't wait to hear how the football season goes for you this year. And I definitely want to get up there and see you guys. And Mady, same thing. Can't wait to hear how the track and field season goes in the winter and the spring season. More importantly, though, the grades. Keep the grades up, right? Dominate the classroom. You got to dominate that first before you can dominate anything else. But ladies and gents, listeners, that was Mady Vianney and Hayden France. They kick off the first ever Lead with Empower vlog. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of the summer. Can't wait to hear about all your successes up at Springfield College.
Thanks for having us, Dan.
My pleasure. Nice job. Nice job.